Today's ride is starting in southeast Indiana. You can see Indiana-like things happening in front of me here. The XT is looking great in front of Dillsboro's twin water towers. So you can tell we're in a pretty fancy place with twin water towers. But I wanted to start the ride here because, you know, it's just a typical small town America. And I've really enjoyed watching other videos where I get to see little towns from all around the world that people ride through. A lot of things look just exactly the same, some things don't. But we'll cruise through Dillsboro here, then I want to show you a great stretch of paved road that anybody that comes out this way would enjoy on a motorcycle. And then we'll hit some gravel down around Rising Sun, Indiana. It's about 80 degrees Fahrenheit here today, and it's super windy. We had cold and rain for the last couple of days, and today it's suddenly hot and humid, our first really hot, humid day of the spring. Little pharmacy, post office. And so you get what you get with these kind of temperature changes. That wind whips up when it suddenly gets warmer. The earth is warming up. I noticed back there some people are huddled around the diner. I live in Ohio, but I crossed the line over here to Indiana. It's very close. I'm just about 35 miles from home right now. And I noticed a couple restaurants here in Indiana. Oh, side note, see that little garage? It looks like they're cleaning it out. That would be my dream motorcycle garage. If I won the lottery, I was gonna buy that place, set it up to work on motorcycles here in the country, move out of the city, and just have fun working on bikes. But I noticed some restaurants here in Indiana that have said their dining rooms are open now, and that is definitely not happening in Ohio. We can run in to pick up carry-out orders, but it's get in and get out. I also saw what looked like maybe a touch football team, a couple teams playing a game. So there were about 20 to 30 people on a field. And they were all right up in each other's face, huddled, and not hard American football contact, but they were contacting each other, no masks, that kind of stuff. So that's very different from just over the line in Ohio. I'll be interested to see how this wind sounds on the microphone. But anyway, I'm on East 262. It's Indiana 262 from Dillsboro to Rising Sun. And I'm gonna turn off the camera for a second until we get to the fun bits. There's some road construction going on here, so gotta watch out for loose stuff on the top of the road. Yeah, patches and those little rumble strips and all kind of stuff that's gonna keep us from really opening it up today. Opening it up on a 225, you know what I mean. But man, this is fun. You get the idea. This so reminds me of growing up in West Virginia. Every road was like this pretty much. But we don't find a whole lot of it just outside of Cincinnati, Ohio. This is entering Rising Sun. We'll go down the main drag here, the retail drag, and check out the Ohio River. There's also a large casino on the edge of town here. Nice little coffee shop. Ooh, Mexican restaurant. Man, I wish it was Taco Tuesday, and I wish I could sit in there and eat a peaceful meal. That guy has the right idea on his Honda touring bike. Big Veterans Memorial here. Nice playground. It's really an idyllic little town. You can see the Ohio River forms this valley, and right now, a little town like this, it's pretty flat overall, but where we're going to get into some hills. And further down, a little further than I want to go today, is Madison, Indiana, where there's just some great gravel roads. I tell you, this particular area used to have a whole lot more gravel, but when casinos came into the area, they pumped all kinds of money into the local county coffers of places, and they used them to fix up all the roads. So, well, they didn't fix up every road, as you can see, but they paved a lot of stuff that used to be just rural. I'm extra excited to be on the bike today because I wasn't feeling that hot the past few days. I was starting around Saturday or Sunday. I just felt this extreme fatigue and could barely stay awake all day, and it was kind of a draining thing. And what I figured out was I've been successful and purposely losing weight over probably the last 6 months, and I was just, you know, taking it very slow and steady, and concentrating on eating right, getting a little exercise every day, cutting portions down. And then about 6 weeks ago, I talked to a doctor about some stomach discomfort I've been having. That was the first time I video conferenced with the doctor, and he said it sounded like a mild hernia, and not to be too concerned about it, but keep focusing on diet and exercise. And I'm real happy to say that after a few weeks, that seemed to just clear up. So, you know, knock on wood, hopefully that continues to be good, because I thought, oh, how's this going to impact my riding season? But anyway, so I felt this fatigue, and what I realized was in the last couple weeks, I've gotten way too serious about the losing weight and exercising. I really bumped up my exercise volume, you know, 3-hour hikes, and hammering on the bicycle. And I was also still trying to trim calories down even further. And I think I just kind of hit a wall. I think it was my body saying, hey, Jim, you know, have a cheeseburger every once in a while. Here, I think we'll get into, yeah, Upper Grants Creek Road. I also wanted to pose a question to the viewers, if you're still hanging with me here. I never ever thought I'd be considering that, but I'm thinking of getting an aftermarket exhaust for the XT225. And I think, you know, all my buddies have FMF pipes and all that stuff, and I've owned a bunch of motorcycles in my life, and I've had exhausts. And with this bike, I've just kind of thought, well, you know, an exhaust, it's not like it's really going to give it a bunch more power or anything. Ooh, might have to come back here and take a photo. It's not like it's going to make a huge difference in the power output. It's probably mainly just going to make it louder. But they also have a cool look. And I just started thinking about, okay, why do people get an aftermarket exhaust, and why would I get one? And I narrowed it down. I think there are 3 different reasons you might go that route. And one is, there's a happy person waving at me. And one is that, oh, lost my train of thought. I'm lost in the moment. Okay, so 3 reasons a person might want to get an aftermarket exhaust. And one is for what I'm going to call aesthetic reasons. They like the way it looks, or they like the way it sounds. And that's perfectly valid. And I think if you want to get an exhaust because you think it looks cool, if you think it looks full race, or you like the way that it sounds, go for it. If you've got the money, buy it. I think a second reason a person could want an exhaust is if they just like to tinker, if they just like to mod their bike out. And that's another one where, hey, if you've got the money, just go for it. And then the third reason is performance. And I think you ought to think about that before you just pull the trigger when it comes to performance, because I see people that are going and buying a new exhaust because they read about it in a forum somewhere, and it's going to give them more power. But you know, maybe they should work on just setting their bike up properly to begin with. Maybe they haven't set the sag on the suspension, or have the handlebars and controls set properly. Maybe they haven't even read the manual on the bike. So I think make sure your bike is in good operating condition before you think you're just going to add horsepower with the pipe, especially if it's an older bike and you've got worn out rings or something. Even worn out chain and sprockets is going to sap some power. If you have a bunch of things adding up to a 10% loss in power on the bike just because it isn't maintained well, and then you're going to go for a 10% increase by spending, you know, $300 to $800 on an exhaust system, that's kind of a backward way of doing it, I think. And I think a lot of times too, bikes do have inherent flaws in them performance-wise, and a lot of times you'll see by adding a pipe and cutting a hole in the airbox and changing the jetting that you'll be able to not only increase the power, but you'll be able to flatten out some soft spots in the power band or some dips, and that'll all work well. And so I think that's all well and good, but I also think maybe sometimes you could improve the quality of the power, fix those flat spots, etc., by just the jetting part. Maybe you don't need the exhaust to get a gain like that. This is a pretty good little hill here for a road. So I'm kind of weighing the whole thing. I have absolutely no illusions of getting a tremendous amount more power out of the bike from this, but I think it'd be kind of look cool, and I'd like to tinker with it. So let me know what you think about that whole thing, if I should even entertainment. What I love about the stock exhaust is that it's quiet. It most definitely has a U.S. Forestry Service approved spark arrestor, which I need when riding on public land. And with these other exhausts, some of them are going to say that, you know, they're full race only, and I don't mind fudging things a little bit, no problem there, but I gotta have a spark arrestor. And for stuff like this, you know, I'm essentially riding around in people's backyards sometimes. I don't need a race exhaust system. So I've sent emails to these different manufacturers of pipes asking them 3 questions. 1, do you have a dyno chart or a horsepower chart available? Can you tell me how this is gonna change the power of my motorcycle for this $250 to $500? And 2, does it have a U.S. Forestry Service approved spark arrestor? And 3, what's the decibel level? How loud is the pipe? So I'm interested to see what they say. Now there's a thing on the internet called the Z1 mod, where people mod their pipe by drilling a bigger hole inside the muffler portion of it. And that's interesting, and I can see how that would flow more air. While that might work, it also feels kind of like just saying, hey, I'm going to drill a hole in the side of my bathtub so it drains faster. It just doesn't make a lot of engineering sense to me. And so once you hack up the exhaust, the stock exhaust in that way, there's no way to repair that hole that you're creating deep inside of it. So anyway, let me know what you think. Is it worthwhile? The FMF exhaust could look pretty cool, so I'll see what happens there with that. Hey, I think camera's getting a little low on battery. We'll just keep riding a bit, see how much longer it holds out. Epic, epic day. Hey, thanks so much for following along. I was pretty long-winded today. I'll be interested to see how long this final edit ends up being. And I hope you've enjoyed this. I sure hope you're able to get out and ride too. And if you're not, maybe this helps out a little bit. Man, I am a bit concerned about work and the fact that I need to figure out a way to pick that up with my video production. But until then, I'll keep making YouTube videos. How's that? All right, everybody. I appreciate you coming along, and hope to see you on the road someday. And please do ride safe. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please do give it a like, and I hope you'll consider subscribing for future riding and wrenching videos. You know, if we weren't in the middle of a national declared emergency and a global pandemic, I'd be going that way, chasing the sun for as long as I could.